Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Robbie Rhino, and in today's video I have one replay for you in the brand new WIESEL 1A1 TOW, which is of course the Era 3 premium tank destroyer for the Western Alliance that was released last week. I have a review of this tank destroyer on my channel and I'll link that above for you now if you want to know the nitty-gritty details of this tank destroyer, and it also includes 4 gameplays, but as the title and thumbnail suggest, this is my highest damage record inside World of Tanks console, and I'll be showing you how I got that and trying to talk through some of the key points in this battle. A little bit of a caveat: there are 7 bots per side in this game, which means there are 8 actual players, but sometimes the bots are actually better than the teammates, right? So hopefully that doesn't detract from the result too much. I was playing late at night on the EU server, and sometimes there are quite a few bots at certain hours of the night, so that is obviously a downside to being a nocturnal human. We're going to start off today's battle here on Thiepval Ridge in the J8 location. We're going to be playing the passive scouting role at the start with the WIESEL 1A1 TOW, and it's something that this vehicle does so well because you are a light tank in essence with the firepower of a tank destroyer with its ATGM launcher, and we're going to be raking in some lovely juicy assistance at tanks that are situated in E8 and E9 on that hill. I'm only going to be able to be spotted by the enemy team if they get within the 50 meters proximity detection circle on the minimap, or if I fire when a tank is in close proximity. Lastly, I am visible with the true vision system, but I'm sat in a shadowy bush, and as you can see, the WIESEL 1A1 is so small it's going to be nigh on impossible for enemies to detect where I am. We're going to take a chance there with an ATGM, which means that we do get spotted, but we can reset our stealth, and it's all about rinsing and repeating the vision mechanics and your concealment, and just doing it over and over again to get the results like I have done in today's video. In terms of the setup that I'm using with the WIESEL 1A1 TOW, I'm now running a slightly different commander setup than I run in my review. So in terms of my equipment, I'm running advanced concealment, advanced powertrain and traction system, and in terms of my commander skills, I'm running 6th sense, born leader, rapid loading, steady aim, snapshot, camouflage expertise, silent driving, muffled shot and green thumb. So I'm now running the silent driving and another concealment perk to try and make this as sneaky as possible, and what that means is that I will only be spotted within that 50 meters proximity detection circle, and that allows me to roam the battlefield like a light tank, as light tanks have a bonus. They have the same still concealment whilst moving and also whilst they are stationary. That is their class bonus, but using silent driving on the WIESEL does negate that, and it allows me to be just so much more better concealed when I'm on the move, and I can play the active scouting role as well as the passive scouting role that you will have seen at the start of today's video. So with that setup, I also have a fantastic view range. This tank destroyer has insane base view range. I've now got my view range up to 615 meters, and if I wanted to improve that some more, I could also take out the large med kit or repair kit that I'm using, probably the med kit, as the repair kit can be a lifesaver, and I would run combat rations to improve the reload and the sort of ATGM or gun handling, if you will, of the WIESEL 1A1 TOW's launcher. So in the battle now, as you can see, unfortunately our team have lost many tanks. We're down by 4 tanks, and we are up to above 6.5k combined already. We're being chased by an enemy WIESEL, and in this situation it's usually about who jousts better. We try and use the handbrake turn there, which can come in handy to surprise a tank that's chasing you. Unfortunately, I overturned slightly, and that allowed the enemy WIESEL to get an ATGM right through the front of me. So for the remainder of this battle, I will be on 623 hit points. For any ATGMs on the enemy team, whatever vehicle, I'll be a one-shot. And for high caliber guns, I'll also be a one-shot as well. Anything else, most likely a 2-shot. So I'm going to have to be very careful, very aware of where the enemies are on the battlefield, and I'm going to have to use this tank's mobility and concealment figures to make ambushes on the enemy tanks. I'm going to have to reset my concealment when I get spotted, come in from different angles and try and surprise the enemy. There are lots of hit points left on the enemy team, which does allow me to have the result that I'm going to have, but does mean that it was quite hard work to do, even with quite a few bots still left on the enemy team. We took our opportunity there to get an ATGM into the side of the thumper there. We couldn't really pass up that opportunity in situations where you are down on tanks, and especially in situations where you are in a 1 versus 2 or higher. You need to take out the enemy as quickly as possible to stop them ganging up and coming at you all together. You want to take them out one by one, as that is much easier for you to deal with, especially when you're in a tank destroyer like the WIESEL 1A1 TOW that doesn't have any armor and doesn't have a fully traversable ATGM launcher. Also, if I'm making use of the distraction my teammate there in the thumper is making, I'm able to get side shots, which means that I have the juiciest part of these thumpers to shoot at, and it means that I avoid having to shoot any composite explosive reactive armor that does negate the penetration of my ATGMs. So unfortunately, our friendly thumper does succumb to the enemy team, and that means that it is now a 1 versus 3. I know that the 2 tank destroyers, or I believe the 2 tank destroyers, are both actual players, and the last remaining light tank is an M3A2 Bradley that is a bot, and that's good news for me. It would have been a little bit more impressive, obviously, to take out an actual player that's playing the Bradley, but what it means that with the bot is that I'm not going to be shot at by it unless I am actually spotted, which means I can dictate the pace of the battle. So I'm going to try and take out the enemy thumpers or the enemy actual players first, and then I'm going to move on to the Bradley at the end. I just have to keep an eye on the minimap and keep an eye on to where the Bradley was last spotted. So we advance over this open field, always looking with the free camera to see where these thumpers are looking. We managed to get a sneaky ATGM there with the 10 degrees of gun depression. Used the enhanced smokescreen, which is a godsend in this vehicle. We spot the bot in the M3A2 Bradley, and no, I'm not being mean, like I just said, it's an actual bot, and we're going to reset our concealment and hopefully come in from a different angle. And of course, I'm not going to be playing this game absolutely perfectly, but I'm going to make the most of what I know about bots in the Cold War game mode, but also what I know about the enemy tanks. I know the Bradley has a very slow ATGM, like all ATGMs are in Cold War, which allows me to use the great mobility of this tank. And that's where having something like the traction system really helps with the whole traverse. You can weave in and out, dodge ATGMs, and even dodge APF SDS rounds and rounds that have a better shell velocity. Keeping an eye out there for the thumper, trying to keep tabs on where the enemy tanks are at all times, and we're going to try and isolate tanks when they are all on their own, take them out one by one, and hopefully we can take this one down. There's still a lot of hit points left on the enemy team. I try and get a snapshot with the ATGM there into the thumper, but unfortunately it doesn't work out for us, so we're going to reset our concealment. We're going to get on our merry way. We're going to act like we're going towards the hill to our left, but we're going to make a turn once we have reset our stealth, and then we're going to come up behind this thumper. He was looking for a split second the wrong way. I missed my chance to joust that thumper and get an ATGM in, but I used the handbrake turn and I managed to take out that thumper with the ATGM, making it now into a 1 versus 2. I again get re-stealthed, use the handbrake turn to act like I was going down the hill, come back up the hill, and hopefully I can catch the thumper from the side or rear and get an ATGM into him. And I'm just whittling the opponents down one by one, very slowly, trying to be methodical. I'm not going to panic. There's still 5 minutes left on the game. This tank doesn't have the best damage per minute, but there's also the good chance you will deal a nice hefty ammo rack or set of fire with the great module damage of these ATGMs. So we're now coming against this Thumper. We managed to get a clutch ATGM into the rear of the Thumper there, which tracks the Thumper in place. We managed to avoid a shot. We pop our smoke screen again, and then we're going to reset our concealment and hopefully come in from a different angle, keeping them guessing. And I'm again going to go for the Thumper first as it's an actual player. Then we can turn our attentions to the M3A2 Bradley. And it's at this moment that I do have to start making a few risks in order to get the last few ATGMs in. I don't want to sit around for too long and have this peter out into a high damage game but a loss. I want to push the tempo here and get a win, and I managed to catch the Thumper from the rear. I stopped there to aim at the Thumper. Unfortunately, he travels way too fast around the corner, meaning that our ATGM misses. But again, we get re-stealthed, we act like we're going down into that little ravine, we turn around and hopefully we can catch this Thumper from behind. The M3A2 Bradley is spotted, but he's not going to shoot at me unless I am detected, which allows us to go around the corner and get a nice on the move ATGM into the Thumper. And now I'm being chased by both tanks. It's all about using the mobility of this tank and the advanced powertrain traction system doing me well. I'm able to get up to a very nice top speed, great traverses, and I'm able to outrun both of these vehicles. I'm going to go into the shadowy areas here to try and obscure the vision of the enemy Thumper who might be looking for me with the true vision system. Now we know where the Thumper is travelling and which way his turret is facing. We can come in for a shot. He does turn his turret around, doesn't notice us. He crashes into a rock, and that allows me to get another ATGM into him, leaving him on 96 hit points, I believe. And now again, we are just trying to get re-stealthed. That allows the enemy not to be able to auto-lock onto you, and that does take the RNG aspect out of the game. We pop our smoke, and we're going to use the smoke in the centre as a bit of a deterrent, but also something that we can use like a rock to do ring around the rosy. And now when we are loaded, we are going to have to try and find a way to get in on this enemy Thumper and joust him. He misses as we do a little bit of a handbrake turn there, which allows us to guide the ATGM in nicely. And now it's just the enemy bot left in the M3A2 Bradley. And no, I'm not being mean, that actually is a bot again. We are able to get re-stealthed, and when we are not spotted, the Bradley will not fire at us, and that allows us to get momentum up with this tank and then go in for the kill, get an ATGM into him. He is firing with the primary small chain gun that tank has, and now we're just going to have to try and avoid the ATGMs. Again, like I said at the start or during the middle of today's video, the ATGMs are slow shell velocity, and a tank like this can outrun the ATGM when you are at a sort of mid-range, as long as you don't get way too close. We come in again as we were re-stealthed, get another ATGM into the Bradley, pop the other smoke consumable as it came back, and now that allows me to re-stealth, hide behind this smoke, and then I'm going to come in for one last ATGM and hopefully take this one down. There's only 1 minute 56 seconds left, so I do have to at least get one of my next 2 ATGMs in to have a decent chance of taking this one down. I'm just going to turn around, get some momentum up, and then I'm going to come in, fire ahead of the M3A2 Bradley, making sure to give plenty of lead due to the fact it's a slow shell velocity, and that allows us to take out the Bradley and take down the game. That's for a 5-kill game. We finish in the MVP slot with 16.1k direct damage, 3.1k assistance. We get our first mark of excellence there, mastery badge, and 2094 base experience points. A massive profit with a premium account of 744,000 silver. I believe that's with a 1.25 silver booster, and without a premium account of 541,000 silver. And yeah, my personal highest damage record, and I believe also my highest combined damage record as well. And I hope that you enjoyed that gameplay there. I was definitely on the edge of my seat, sweating buckets and shaking very, very hard there at the end, but we managed to take it down. I had a lot of fun. and it's not often that you get really high damage numbers like that, especially when you play a lot of World War II, so it's really nice to see a really nice profit. I'm loving this vehicle. It is very good. Potentially in the future, if it carries on being this dangerous, it will be nerfed ever so slightly like the Armadillo, but if you like this kind of gameplay, I would highly recommend you get this tank, as it is absolutely fantastic. 19.2k combined, just under $1 million silver profit with no ops on is a great result, and I hope that you have enjoyed today's video. Thank you all so much for your support. Let me know in the comments what your highest damage is in this tank and in the game in general, and until next time, I will see you on the battlefield, and bye for now.